Welcome back to the Armenian Museum of America. I'm Gary Lind-Sinanian, the curator, and I'd like to share another aspect of Armenian culture with you. Usually I'm talking about tangible objects, the objects I'm talking about and pointing out the aspects of it. But today I want to show an intangible object, part of Armenian folklore, a dance from the village of Kochasa. This is a map of historic Armenia, and the national dance of Armenia today is the Kochava. It is the official national dance, and that's done in the Caucasus here. But if there was a national dance of Western Armenia, that would have been the Tamzara. And each region had its own version of Tamzara. But what I'm talking about today, right now, is the Bijo. The Bijo was a dance that was only done in Sebastia. This is Sebastia right over here. And Armenian populations moved back and forth a lot. When the city of Ani fell here, the survivors of Ani went down to Cilicia, and Cilician Armenia was the descendants of the people of Ani. When the kingdom of Vospergon ended here, the Armenians from Vospergon ended up in Sebastia. And so as a result, many dances of Sebastia, when you look at them, you say, gee, something about that reminds me of a Vanity dance, because they were descended from Van, and so there are some similarities. When the Armenians came to America, the immigrants, they came to various communities that work in factories. You write home to your relatives, come and join me, there's work here. And a number of Sebastatsis came to America. And when they came to America, they brought their Bijo dance with them. So that if you went to New England, you'd see a certain kind of Bijo dance done. If you went to New York City, a different Bijo dance. If you went to Detroit, a different Bijo dance. But these were all Bijo dances. They were all from Sebastia. The dance I want to demonstrate right now is from the village of Kochasa. And the village of Kochasa, this is the city of Sebastia right here. And a little bit northeast of it, you have these Armenian villages, Gotni, Horsana, Kochisa, Govdun, Zara, and all these villages were Armenian villages in the mountains there, and they all had their own dances, and these are the ones they brought to America. This dance, the Kochisa Bijo, was done mostly in Springfield, especially in Indian Orchard, which is a little Armenian community there, and in Providence, Rhode Island, and in Cranston. And so those are the real concentrations of Sebastatsis in America. The dance itself is a man's dance. It was done by a close circle of men. I'm going to demonstrate the dance right now for you. Now, I know I'm going to look silly doing this, but I want to make sure this dance is recorded and documented so that it's not lost. So please bear with me. The Kochisa Bijo was a man's dance, and you'd have about 6 to 10 men dancing, at least in America. And the villages, of course, they might have many more men back then doing the dance. If they did, the double zorda would be in the middle of the circle. And everybody's dancing around the musicians. In America, they were right to the side. And it's a very simple dance. It's not pinky hold. It's your gold hands like so. It's men's. And so the men are in a circle. And the first part of the dance is their lunge to the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's lunge, lunge, and in, out, 2, 3. And when they lunge, they really put into it. And as they're lunging, they move towards the center. Lunge, closer, close, out, 2, 3. Which means that the circle would get very tight. Lunge, 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 out, 2, 3. So small and big again. Then you walk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A very simple step, and a very simple melody, which is very repetitious. So it'll be ram da di da di da di da ram da di da di da di da di da di da da di da di da di da di da da ram da di da di da da di da di da di da ram da di da di da di da di da da da. Okay, that's the funny part. They're going in and out, side and back, and then the zurna player hits one note. and he just sustains that one note. And because he's doing circular breathing, he can do that note all day long, that one note. And when he's doing that, so they're just going, the men are in a low crouch, and they shake their hands as long as he hits that one note. Rum da di da, rum da di da, and they start again. So the dance is very slow, and it puts a lot of pressure on the legs when you're doing this. So when they're going to the side, they clap. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a hop step as they do it. And then they go into the center, they grab their hands, so they go 1, 2, and they really do grab. So it's very strong movement. That's the whole dance, basically. You do it slowly. Rum da di da, rum da di da, di da di, rum da di da, da di da, da di da, di da da da. Rum da di da, rum da di da, da di da di da da, rum da di da, da di da, da di da di da da. And then they go slow again, and they go fast again. They just keep it up. And it's a very exhausting dance after a while. And when they do the dance, as they go in, go, hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo. Hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo. And the men really put everything into it. And this is a young man's dance. And when I first learned this dance back in 1976, I think it was, there were still survivors from Sebastia in the community, old-timers who had come from the old country, who've been doing this their whole life, of course. And so when I asked them about the dance, hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo. And I asked them, is that, that's traditional, hoppa bijo? They said, well, actually it wasn't. When we did it, the way we originally did it when we came to America, we did it just like we did it back in Sebastia. Arf, arf, arf. What they do is, as they go in, they bark. And I said, oh, that's interesting. And they said, the woman never did that. I said, oh, no, the woman never bark. What they do is when we met doing this dance, the women are by the side, and they're encouraging us, going, la, 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 la. I said, you mean a Zachary? They said, yeah, that's what the woman would do that. Well, why don't you do it now? He said, well, when we came to America, before in Sebastia, we're just doing it around other people from Sebastia. So if we're barking or we're doing this, the women are doing this, the trilling, everybody does it. That's the normal. But when we came to America, there were other Armenians here. So we're going to the picnic and we're doing this dance. The Harpetsis and the Vanetsis and the Marashis, they're all horrified. Oh my God, what are you doing? He said, what do you mean? Armenians don't bark. The women don't trill like that. And we'd say, well, of course they do. This is how we do it in Sebastia. Well, we're not in Sebastia. We're in America. Stop it right now. You're embarrassing us. And they actually did stop it because they got so much pressure from other Armenians not to do that they stopped doing the arf, arf. And the women stopped doing the trill. So now instead they use the hoppa bijo, hoppa bijo, hoppa. But the older version was the bark. So the dance was evolving in America. And so before the genocide, they would have still been barking. By the time of the genocide, they dropped the barking. In the 1920s, hoppa bijo became the norm. And so the dance changes in America to adapt to American society or Armenian society in America. But then that's the Khochisa bijo. And as I said, it used to be very popular. And nowadays, it's pretty much a forgotten dance. So I want to make sure that I'm doing this just to pass it on so that you'll know the dance or you'll know of the dance. So if ever, it's just part of our heritage. And so a lot of things get lost from the wayside, and this is one of the things which has gotten lost, unfortunately. The Armenian Museum is here to share our history, our culture, our stories with you, the public. We thank you for joining us. We thank Michelle Collegian, president of the board, for making this series possible. And we thank the Armenian community and the people of Sebastia, the men, for this dance. We hope you'll join us at the museum here. And until next time, stay safe.